Welcome to Camp Constitution Radio with your host, Hal Shurtleff. This show is heard on WBCQ The Planet every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also on, I think it's Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, and also in other places like YouTube. Visit our Camp Constitution YouTube channel. Podomatic, we're listed, we're usually in the top 10 for conservative programming on Podomatic, so just go to podomatic.com and punch in Camp Constitution, and you'll get our shows, all of archive shows over the years, plus some other classic interviews of people like Gary Allen and many others. And we can also find us on IPMNation.org, which is an online news, 24-hour news source, which you can get in Concord, New Hampshire, Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the show is brought to you by Camp Constitution, which, among other things, runs a week-long family camp. I'm going to dedicate this show to, usually we're talking about issues and interview people, and I do promote the camp here and there, but I like to talk about our really wonderful Camp Constitution summer camp program, and now we added a weekend camp in September, and some of the other things we do. So let me just kind of back up. We'll give a little history of our program. I used to be involved as a Northeast camp that was part of a national program. I was the director of this at the Northeast Camp, and I did that from 1990 until 2008, when this worthy program was arbitrarily canceled. So some of us that were involved in this camp, in the Northeast Camp, which took place in Ringe, New Hampshire, at least for a good chunk of the time, sometimes in Pennsylvania. And I also was involved with a camp in the Midwest for a couple of years, same camp program. So one time I was doing two camps, so running two camps in the summer. And it was a great program, a labor of love. And again, it was arbitrarily canceled. So some of the folks that were involved in the Northeast Camp kind of got together and we said, hey, let's just form our own camp. And that was in December of 2008. In 2009, we held our own summer camp in Ringe, New Hampshire. We had a relatively small turnout, but it was a good group of people. We had, I think, 65 people, staffers and campers. And that was the beginning. And at that time, we just had our camp and, we had our classes. We didn't have a YouTube channel. We had a website, which, of course, you have to have. But as time went on, we had other opportunities made available to us. One of our camp supporters suggested that we publish some materials, and there's a lot of good material out there, some of it out of print. And so we thought, well, if we could put things back in print that we use in our classes, that would be helpful. So we created Camp Constitution Press. And so we've also published a few books of our own, in some cases reprinted books that are long out of print, like what's the book that Noah Webster did on refuting global warming in 1810. One of our more recent reprints is something that came out in 1958 called Color, Communism, and Common Sense. And we published a book written by Jen Coffey. It was called Knives, Lipstick, and Liberty, and a few other items and titles. And then we were offered the opportunity to have a radio show by the late co-owner of this wonderful station. And we said, yeah, let's do it. And it's a very nominal amount of money we pay. It's like $100 a month for 4 shows. So we were happy to do that. So we started Camp Constitution Radio. And then a couple of years ago, when I became, when I was involved with an organization and I had to leave the staff because of Camp Constitution, it was either one or the other, give up one or the other, and it was a no-brainer. So we created a Speakers Bureau, and in 2015, at the passing of our dear friend Sam Blumenfeld, we inherited his library and his papers. We created the Blumenfeld Archives, which you can find on our website. And then, of course, I think it was 2010 or 11 we started a YouTube channel, and we weren't getting a whole lot of views, but over the last couple of years, as I've had more time to dedicate to all of the endeavors, We're now getting about 1,500 a day, which I think is respectable, and that grows. And we have a lot of good programs on our YouTube channel. But our camp, we started off as a summer camp program, and I just want to discuss a little bit about the camp program itself, what a week entails. Now, this is a unique program. There are lots of summer camps out there, and they're great. They do a lot of great things. There's Christian camps. There's a lot of day camps. There's even a few day camps that have, they teach the Constitution, but nothing quite like ours. And I'll kind of give you what a typical day at our camp is. We have a wake up is at 7, but we have an optional run or swim in the morning. We call it our polar bear swim or run. And actually, when it's in the summertime and the temperatures get up to the 80s and 90s, sometimes it's not too polar bearish to go for a swim in the lake in the morning. Although we've had some cool summers where it's a little bit of a challenge to go for a dip in the morning. Anyway, so then we go for either a run or a swim or both, and that's an optional thing. Maybe about 10% of the campers participate in that. Wake up is at 7. 10 minutes of 8, we meet at the flagpole for our morning prayer, devotion, and flag raising. We also will recite the preamble of the Constitution. So by the time we leave camp, everybody has memorized at least the preamble of the Constitution. Then we have a breakfast, and we do have the camp we're going to be using this year. We hope it will be a place for years to come. The food is very good. I had a chance to have a breakfast there not too long ago. Then we have 3 classes in the morning, and we have two groups, actually 3 groups. We have an advanced class, which we only have a handful of advanced classes, so many of the advanced campers will definitely have the opportunities to listen to lectures by our guest instructors, which I'll talk about. And then we have a junior camp, and this is something that we added, I think, about 4 years ago. See, being a family camp, we have campers of all ages, and we didn't really have a program for the younger ones. So, especially during the morning, what do? Well, of course, there's a lake and there's a playground and there's lots of things to do. But still, we were missing out. So thanks to a couple of our supporters and staff, the junior camp or Patriot Camp was created. And Patriot Camp is actually something that was created by a couple of ladies, and I can't remember where, in the Midwest somewhere. It was sort of designed for vacation Bible school, sort of like a round robin where, a certain amount of young people will go to learn about Paul Revere and go to the next station and learn about this person or that person. So it's not quite that model, but during the day during the morning anyway, for the young people, there's singing and there's arts and crafts, and they learn great history. They'll dress up in costumes, learn about the colonial life under colonial America, learn about old Ironsides and Paul Revere and George Washington and a lot of other wonderful things like that. And that's in the morning. Now, the afternoon, after lunch, we have organized activities, volleyball, softball, other games for about an hour and a half, and there'll be some time in the afternoon to do, to relax or whatever, fishing, hiking. There's actually this camp there's I guess they call it a confidence course, which is an optional thing. You pay a little bit extra for that. And again, a beautiful lake is right there. We do have an all-day field trip. Not all-day field trip, but a half-a-day field trip. So we'll have lunch we get to the destination. And this year we're going to the Battle of Bennington Historic Site. And that was a very important battle. It was sort of a delaying action, and it took place, I think it was, September of 1777. And that led up, obviously, to the great battle of victory of Saratoga. So we actually have a man who's from that area, and it's only about a 40-minute ride from camp. So there's 2 sites. The actual battle took place in New York, and then the headquarters was there in Bennington, Vermont. And then we'll have a couple of optional afternoon activities. One of them would be a trip to the Norman Rockwell Museum. The famous artist illustrator lived in the area, and it's only about, a 10 or 15-minute ride. And then a hike up Mount Greylock. Mount Greylock is the highest elevation in Massachusetts. And normally a hike, I think, at the base of the mountain is about 8 miles, maybe a little more. Well, we don't have that much time to do 20 miles. That's a long day a couple of days actually, but we can drive up to the top. We'll probably drive up 3/4 of the way and have some of the campers hike up, but we'll figure something out. And again, that will be an optional event. And there's other opportunities as time goes on that we'll take advantage of. We get the Springfield Armory, that's about an hour away, the Basketball Hall of Fame. So there's all kinds of great. New England is absolutely rich in history, as a lot of our country is, and we've always liked to take advantage of that and show some people the great historical sites. And there's also a Shaker village, the religious group, the Shakers. Actually, just about a 5-minute ride from our camp is a village that they used to live in, it's in the town of Hancock, Massachusetts. And so then we have classes in the evening, 2 classes in the evening, and all our classes are 50 minutes long. We're very strict about that because we realize that, you don't want to go beyond there's only so much information you can absorb, especially in the summertime. We'll tell instructors 50 minutes. You can go less than 50 minutes, but no more than 50 minutes. And I'll discuss some of the great classes we have in a few minutes. Now, the first day of camp, we have Sunday afternoon. We have orientation for the staff, orientation for the campers and families. And then in the last day of camp, the last full day of camp, Saturday is pretty much have breakfast, clean up, and go home. But on Friday, we will take some of the campers out, usually the advanced campers, and distribute copies of the U.S. Constitution to some of the local communities. We've been doing that for years, and it's either constitutions and things maybe exposing the Federal Reserve Bank or Common Core or whatever important issue. Last year we were distributing information about the dangers of an Article 5 convention, as well as copies of the Constitution. So it went very well. And the goal is to teach these young people, and some adults too, that this is the kind of things you should be doing on a regular basis. And we encourage them to do this when they get back home. So then we also have what they call daily room inspection. That takes place during the first class. And we usually have our head counselor and a few others. And we're looking obviously for cleanliness, but also themes, patriotic Christian themes. And it's incredible, some of the young people, the talent they have and the creativity. And every day we have a camp newspaper that comes out, usually right after campfire. And the results of the cabin inspections or room inspections are in there. And at the end of the week, the cabin with the most points gets free pizza. The last night would be Friday night after campfire. We have pizza night, and again, it's an optional thing. And if your room or cabin gets the best results, then you get that pizza for free. So it's a fun thing. It's fun competition. And let's see, what else do we have here? Well, the campfire, after the second class, a nice little break, we also do a flag lowering, and we teach young people how to not just raise a flag, but also to fold it properly. So proper flag etiquette. The campfire lasts about an hour. And at our campfire, we have a little camp songbook, which all the participants get the first day of camp, and it has a lot of old-fashioned songs, some hymns, some people might call them corny. All campers also encourage you to bring instruments, guitars or whatever they can, and they'll play instruments. We do skits, recite poetry. We do not have any rock and roll at our camp, and that's the way I think everyone likes it. We also have a strict policy of discipline, and when you have a lot of young people expect to know the boundaries, and we set those pretty quickly. We don't the dress is appropriate dress. We don't have people coming out in miniskirts or T-shirts with vulgar things on them. That's not allowed. But of course, it's not usually a big issue because the vast majority of our attendees are from the homeschool community, so that's not usually an issue. But we do have those standards. We also don't allow boys and girls to be hugging and holding hands and things like that, and cell phones. Back in the 90s, that was not an issue, but what do you do with a cell phone? Well, young people want to text, and in fact, adults do the same thing, texting and be distracted by cell phones. So we have them turn the cell phones into the counselors. They're free to call their parents or whatever during certain designated times or in case of emergency, but they don't walk around with a cell phone that whole week. And it takes a little bit, their first day or two is a little bit of a withdrawal. Well, then they realize, hey, I can actually relate to people without my cell phone. I can talk to people, and I can always catch up on my Facebook page a little down the road. And we do encourage picture taking and posting things about our camp. And our camp, by the way, we do have a Facebook page. So during the day of camp, we will have different events. Sometimes we will have live feeds of the classes, of campfire and other activities. So we definitely take advantage of the technology. We just don't let it be a distraction at camp. So what are the classes? Now, as I mentioned, the junior campers, they have a certain program geared towards 5 to 11-year-olds. But also campers will come in on the first day before orientation and take a quiz. It's an evaluation quiz. It's not really pass, fail, are you dumb or stupid, what have you. That's not we're trying to see where they are when it comes to the the things that we teach. And then we have an exit exam. The exit exam is really more geared to, are we teaching? Are they getting it? Are we making sure? Are they learning what we're putting out? And so we'll have, we're starting off this year's camp with Mrs. Chrisanne Hall. She just a basic Constitution 101. And then we have, for the first time, we have Lord Christopher Monckton, who's a British lord, loves the Constitution, loves America. And I said to him once that we had more guys like you in 1776, we'd have no reason to leave leave England, break away from England. And he's going to be doing a class entitled something like an Englishman looks at the U.S. Constitution. And Dr. Duke Pesta. Now, Dr. Duke, who's been a guest on the show, I'll be a guest on his show tomorrow. I guess tomorrow, yeah. Oh, no, actually, yeah, I guess it'll be sometime this week. And Dr. Duke is an expert on Common Core. He's also a professor at the University of Oshkosh in Wisconsin, and he has a lot of advice for parents. So he'll be doing a class on what to expect at a college, and he'll be doing an optional class in the afternoon. We call them workshops. They're not really workshops, like you're rolling your sleeves up and you're in your short sleeves anyway, probably. But he'll be doing on C.S. Lewis. He's an expert on C.S. Lewis and a Shakespearean scholar as well, but should be really interesting. And so we're looking forward to this will be the first time. And he'll only be there for a couple of days. He has to head back home, or at least we have Lord Monckton for the whole week, and we're very excited about that. And one of the classes we have is called the Moral American. And with this year, we're going to break it down, boys and girls. So we have Mrs. King, who is affiliated with the Massachusetts Family Institute. She'll be talking to the young ladies, and Mr. John Hoderney, who is our longtime head counselor. He's actually been a head counselor since we started Camp Constitution, and he and I have been working together at camp since 1990. And he's just a incredible man, a great friend, and an asset to our program. And he discusses the Moral American basically is reinforcing the values they should get at home, proper way to dress, proper way to discuss things with the opposite sex, and really good job. So that's an important class. And we have Mr. John McManus, who is President Emeritus of the John Birch Society. He's doing a couple of classes, one entitled What is Money? So it's Economics 101. But it's economics should be an interesting topic. And when you hear the term economics, most people are ready to fall asleep. But it's called the dismal science for a good reason. So he does a good job handling that. He kind of explains what happened to our currency, from gold-based money and silver to what we have now. So it gets into the Federal Reserve Bank. And then he'd be doing a class on why we need to get out of the UN. We also have Professor Willie Soon, and this will be the second year he's at camp. He'll be at camp. We really enjoyed him last year, and he came with his whole family. And I think he's bringing mother-in-law as well as his young children and his wife. So we're excited about that. Last year he gave a class. He gave two classes. One of them on the climate change myth, and he's going to be doing an updated version of that. Actually, his video his class he did last year, the first class he did, has received over 100,000 views. on our YouTube channel, and that was uploaded in July. So that's not too bad. So we got that many views in less than a year. So we encourage you. By the way, you can find a lot of our classes up on our YouTube channel. We also are excited to have Mrs. Chrisanne Hall return, and she usually does 3 classes. As I said, she'll be kicking it off with a class on the Constitution and a few other classes. And we just said, with someone of Mrs. Chrisanne Hall's background, we just say, what classes would you like to teach? There are sometimes we say, look, we need someone to teach a class on this topic or that topic. We'll have we're going to have Dr. Punamatula Kishore, who's a public health specialist, give an optional workshop on the on vaccines. Vaccines, good and bad. And he gave this presentation not too long ago at a luncheon in Greater Boston. He does a phenomenal job. So this will be mainly geared towards parents. And then we have Debbie Bakagalupi, and we'd love to have Debbie. She's been a guest on this show a few times. She lives out in California, and she's a friend of both Willie Soon and Lord Monckton, and she's an expert on Agenda 21. So I usually teach that class, but I'm more than happy to give it to her. So I'm really looking forward to that. Wednesday night, Dave Kopatz, a good friend of mine, has a radio show called Red Pill Politics. He's going to come out and set up his equipment and do an interview. He'll be in front of the class. He'll be interviewing Chrisanne Hall and Lord Monckton, and he'll record it, and then it will be aired wherever he airs it on some various AM or FM formats, and we'll have it up on YouTube and so forth. So anyway, we're going to have the regular schedule available. Where I just finished it, and I sent it off to a program director, Mrs. Ruth Harper, for so tweaking. And so we'll post that on. It should be on our website as well as our Facebook page and my Facebook page too. When we finally get the results, get it tweaked, and so we're again very excited about this year's camp, and we encourage people to look into our camp, to sign up. Now, what does it cost for a week at camp? Now, first off, I have to point out, this is a family camp, so entire families are encouraged to attend. Mom, dad, grandma, mother-in-law, baby, toddler, teenager, young person under 12 and under, and depending on what they're looking for. Now, for example, we have some families that want to have their own room, and we can give the whole family a room. Or dad might be a counselor for the boys, and he's got teenage boys, and they stay with the boys. Mom stays in her own room with, say, the baby and the toddler, and the teenage girls with the girls as well. So we can do it that way. So we're very flexible, because the sooner you register, the quicker we can, work this out. The rates are $350 for the week. That's for a person 13 and over, adults, non-staff adults. We give the staff a break, $250 for the staff. Now, we are a nonprofit charitable trust, New Hampshire-based charitable trust. So, yes, we don't pay our staff. They're all volunteers. A few of the instructors might get honorarium or some travel money, but they don't get a salary. We're only 1 week long, so most of the counselors are parents. We have a few that, in fact, two of my daughters who had been campers are now counselors. So everything's sort of in-house. So people pay their way, and they realize, and we have a lot of generous donors. So if you get a family, for example, of 7 or 8 people, it's a lot of money at $350 a pop. 12 and under is $250, and then 3 and under is free. So if you have young children, and we pretty much we charge what the camp charges us, and that includes everything. It includes the bus ride, the field trip. The only thing that we won't add would be the camp photo, camp T-shirts, and camp bookstore, incidental snack bar. But as far as the lodging, the meals, the materials that we pass out for the classes, all of that's included. So it's quite a good deal at $350. And you're in a nice environment. The Berkshires, one of the nicest places to be in the summertime. is in the Berkshires of Massachusetts. There's a lot of great places to be in the summertime, but the Berkshires is one of the best. And again, we think their rates are really good. Most camps, Christian camps, they usually charge. Some of them are, and a lot of them offer tuitions and such, but most of them are, I priced them out $400 to $700 for the week. And so ours is $350. And we do have tuition money available for whole families or unaccompanied minors. In many cases, we tell them how much can you afford, and then we'll cover the difference. And so that works out well. As I know, I couldn't afford to send my whole family to camp without a little bit of help, and we understand. We also, we can't guarantee carpooling. We do have potential carpool opportunities. We have people coming as far as Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and they drive up a lot of times, New Jersey, New York. So and I'm in Greater Boston, so if some of your children are in New Hampshire or Maine, we do have potential carpooling opportunities, so you don't necessarily have to drive from your home all the way to camp and back, if that's the case, if you can't stay there for the week. We also can pick people up at train stations, bus stations, and airports. If you're flying in, the closest airport is Albany, New York. It's about 35, 40 miles away. Logan Airport is 2.5 hours. That's in Boston. Manchester Airport, maybe 3. Rhode Island, Providence Airport, and Hartford, Connecticut. So these are the airports that you could fly into, and we'd be happy to make arrangements to pick you up and drop you off. We make this available every year, by the way. So if you're watching, listen to this on cyberspace, and it's 2 or 3 years down the road. It's the same every year. We have a great group of people, and it's really what we do as a ministry, and we want people to come. We encourage you to reach out. If you're listening to this show, you say, gee, I don't have any children. I don't have any grandchildren. I don't know anybody that would be interested in camp. Well, help us financially. Make a donation. You can go right to our website and make a donation on PayPal. If you own a business or have a nonprofit, become a camp sponsor, $100 a year. We put your business up, and when you do that, that's a legitimate tax. That's a business expense. So you can make a tax deduction when you do that. So we hope you're able to do that as well. But you don't know who might be out there. So if you want to contact us, go to our website. There's a place where you can say, contact. And say, hey, look, I don't know anybody, but put me on your mailing list. I'll be happy to forward emails to my contact list. Go to our Facebook page and share the events, share the activities. We have a nice little picture camp flyer. We have promotional pamphlets. Contact me. I'll send you some off. Not only that, depending on where you live, we will have somebody from our camp give a presentation to your group, not only to encourage people to come to our camp in the summer, August 5th to the 11th, by the way. Make sure I get to mention that. I haven't mentioned that yet. August 5th to the 11th, Sunday afternoon to Saturday morning. And you can think about starting a camp in your neighborhood, in your town, in your village, in your county, your state. We also started a weekend camp in Maine, and that's just 2 nights. And that's going to be in Damariscotta, Maine, September 14th to the 16th. And you can go to our website to learn about that. So thank you for listening, folks. And, this program is very important, and it's a very unique program. And as we tell people, it's a potential life-changing and definitely life-affirming experience where you can make friends for life. You can network with wonderful people and really learn a lot, and also not just learn, but also how to be a better activist and liberty activist. So with that, we encourage you to visit our website, campconstitution.net. And until next week, may God bless you.